Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to crochet this keychain mushrooms. It's very easy to make. You can make them into brown or red, it's your choice, or you can make a whole bunch of them. It's a perfect scrap yarn project, so let's get started. My mushroom measures about 3 inches. For this project I'm using 4-ply yarn. I have my red and white, and you're going to be needing 4mm crochet hook. You're also going to need your tapestry needle, your scissors, some sort of stuffing, and the last thing is your keyring clips if you want to make them into a key chain. We're going to be attaching them to the top right here. We're going to start with the magic ring. Give yourself a long tail for sewing. Wrap your yarn around your fingers and hold it with your other finger and bring out your loop and go ahead and chain 1. If you don't want to do a magic ring, you can chain 2 and work 6 single crochets into your first chain. Here we're going to work 6 single crochets into our ring. So let's do 1 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and tighten your circle or your ring. Don't pull it too hard because we're going to bring out our tail forward. And now you can tighten it. Make sure your tail is in the front. For next round, you're going to need your yarn marker, and I'm just going to use a piece of yarn. So go ahead and place it right before your first single crochet, and in this round we're going to be making 2 single crochets into each stitch around. At the end of this round you should have 12 single crochets. So here we go. We're going to do 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets, all worked into same space. Repeat 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So here's 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So continue working and I'll meet you at the end of this round. You should have 12 single crochets. Okay, at the end of round 2, I have 12 single crochets. Let's move our yarn marker into our next round. In round 3, we're going to do 1 single crochet in our first stitch and 2 single crochets into our next stitch. And that's the repeat. So 1 single crochet into first stitch and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So continue working and I'll meet you at the end of this round. You should have 18 single crochets. For round 4, we're going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and you should have 18 single crochets at the end of this round. So continue working and I'll meet you at the end of this round. For round 5, we're going to do another increase round. So take out your yarn marker, and the way it's going to be is 1 single crochet into a first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and work 2 single crochets into the following stitch. And that's the repeat. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and 2 single crochets. Continue working and I'll meet you at the end. You should have 24 single crochets. Round 6 is going to be our last round, and all we need to do is put 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and you should have 24 single crochets. And I'll meet you at the end of this round. At the end of this round you should have 24 single crochets, and we're done. Pull out your marker. Go ahead into the next stitch and slip stitch, chain 1, and fasten off. Leave a long tail for sewing and pull out your hook, and you are done with the top of our mushroom. Now let's work on our bottom of the mushroom. You're going to need your white yarn, but I'm going to be using yellow yarn because my camera doesn't pick up white very well. You can't really see the stitches. We're going to start with our magic ring. So go ahead and pull out a loop and chain 1. And into our ring, we're going to work 6 single crochets. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tighten your circle or your ring. For round 2, you're going to need your yarn marker, and into each stitch we're going to be putting 2 single crochets. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet, all into the same stitch, and that's the repeat. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Continue working and I'll meet you at the end of this round. At the end of round 2, you should have 12 single crochets. For round 3, we're going to be working 1 single crochet into the first stitch and 2 single crochet into the next. So here's 1 single crochet into my first stitch and 2 single crochets into my next stitch, and that's the repeat. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. Continue working and I'll meet you at the end of this round. You should have 18 single crochets. Rounds 4 and 5, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch around, and you should have 18 single crochets. So continue working and I'll meet you at the end of round 4 and 5. For round 6, it's a decrease round. We're going to be working 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. To work my decrease, I put my hook through my first loops only. And so here's 1 loop, and I pick up my second loop of my next stitch, bring up my yarn, and single crochet. So 1 single crochet, and into the following stitch is a decrease again. So put your hook through 1 loop and into the second loop, bring out your yarn and single crochet. So continue working like that and I'll meet you at the end of this round. You should have 12 single crochets. At the end of round 6, you should have 12 single crochets. And for round 7, 8, and 9, we're going to be working 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So 1 single crochet into each stitch around. Continue working and I'll meet you at the end of our round 7, 8, and 9. I went ahead and I worked my round 7, 8, and 9, and you should have 12 single crochets. For our round 10, we're going to be doing an increase into each stitch. So we're going to put 2 single crochets into every stitch around, and you should have 24 single crochets. So continue working and I'll meet you at the end of round 10. Round 11 is our last round, and all we need to do is put 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So here's 1 single crochet, 2, and like that you're going to work your round 11. So I'll meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so at the end of round 11 you should have 24 single crochets. Pull out your yarn marker. Go ahead and put 1 slip stitch into the next stitch. Chain 1 and fasten off. You're done. Your bottom of your mushroom is finished. Our next step is going to be putting white lines and attaching keyring holder onto our mushroom. Okay, so for this you're going to be needing your key ring holder, and I'm using this one. You can use any kind you want. So put your needle into your yarn, right, the top one, right on the top, not this one on the side, the one on the top. So I'm just gonna hold my key ring holder right over here, and I'm gonna go ahead with my needle and go right into the center right over here. And I'm just gonna put 1 stitch. So then again, what I'm gonna do is make sure I go out picking up my ring with my needle, making sure I'm sewing it, and going back into the center again, like so. And then I'm just going to do one more stitch coming back up and picking up my ring and going back into the center, like so. So we attached it. Now we're going to go back inside and we're just going to put a couple of knots to secure it. So bring up a loop and just put your needle through your loop and tighten it. And you can do one more. So just find any stitch, bring up a loop, put your needle through and tighten it, like so. Okay, so that's done. You can cut your yarn or just leave it for stuffing. It's up to you. I think I'm gonna cut it so it's not in my way. Okay, so our key ring is attached. And now what we're gonna do is do the little lines all around our hat. So I'm using white yarn for this part. And what I'm gonna do is just find one area, and I usually like to start at the bottom and just bring up one stitch. And I'm just gonna hold this tail with my finger. And what I like to do is just go back, picking up, just going back right into where my stitch is, like so. And then I'm gonna go back up and go over it one more time. Like so. And then continue. Find any random stitch and just keep sewing. So going down and then again coming back up to the same area and going down. Then I'm gonna put one on the top, like so, and I'm just sewing my lines. And one more time so it's visible. I'm gonna continue sewing my lines and I'll meet you at the end when I'm done sewing. Okay, so I went ahead and I did all my little lines on my mushroom. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and put a knot to hold it in place and bring up a loop, put my needle through the loop and just tighten it. I'm gonna do it one more time and tighten it. You can also, if you don't want to do the knots, you can also just cut your yarn and just tie it to the beginning of our stitching. You can also end it that way. And you can keep this tails as your stuffing. And here you go, it's all done. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna be sewing our mushroom together with our bottom and our top. So you're gonna need both of your pieces. So here's my bottom and my top. And we're gonna go ahead and stuff our bottom a little bit. So you're gonna need your stuffing. You can use anything you want. I'm just using polyfill and just putting some to stuff my mushroom. I think that should be enough. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for now. I think that's enough. And for the top, I'm gonna do it later. So let's go ahead and sew our two pieces together. To sew a mushroom, we're gonna choose any stitches we want. And the way I'm gonna be sewing is I'm only gonna be going through my bottom loop right here. So here's my V stitch. I'm not doing through both. I'm only gonna be doing through the bottom. And then my yellow or my bottom, I'm only picking up the top loop right over here. And I'm just gonna be whip stitching it. And then going into my next stitch, picking up only one loop from both. and just whip stitching. Again, going into my next stitch, picking up and whip stitching. So like this, I'm going to continue sewing my mushroom together, and I'll meet you to show how I stuff it. So I came to my tail, my yellow tail, so I'm going to go ahead and stuff it in. And the way I sew it is, I'm going to bring my needle through one of my loops on the yellow and going back where my stitch right over here, where I slip stitched, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten it like that, sew it together, and continuing on. So I have about 1 inch left to sew. I'm gonna go ahead and stuff my top. So I like to fluff it up a little bit. And just putting my stuffing inside. Take your time here. You want it to have a mushroom shape. I'm gonna add some more. And I'm taking small pieces, it's easier to stuff. I think that should be enough. All right. So now that I stuffed it, I'm gonna continue and sew. So once again, here I am at my finished where we fasten off. So I'm just gonna pick up a loop and go into the yellow one and just continue sewing like so. And here I am finishing up. This is my last stitch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a stitch there. And what we're gonna do is come to the red, and we're gonna put a little knot with the loop, and then put your needle through and knot it like so. Then check your mushroom out. And the way I hide my tail is I bring my needle inside my mushroom and I go all the way down like so. Bring it out and go back into the same space and come out at the bottom to hide it, and cut your yarn. And if you have a little bit showing like I do, what you can do is take your needle and just stuff it back in. Like so, and you won't be able to see it. So now your mushroom is ready. So here's your finished mushroom. It came out super cute and it was really easy to make. And it's a perfect scrap yarn project. And so far I made 3. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video.